dear God, please help Ben to get this broken. Help him to get rid of his nervousness he has any. And most of all, help us to open our hearts and our minds to the words you have to say through him. Amen.
Amen. Beautiful.
Have you ever been at home alone late at night and heard noise that had no explanation?
Yeah.
Like a banging on the window?
Yes.
Or the floor creaking, but there's no one there to walk on it? For most people, being alone makes them uncomfortable, and we try to avoid it. It's normally not a great feeling. Sure, every now and then, I do prefer to have some alone time, but I enjoy the company of others much more. Over the next 4 weeks, we will be doing a series called Belong. We are all looking for our groups to belong to and to find community with. We need community, and this Life Night breaks open why we need that community. The person I enjoyed spending my time most with was my friend Madeline. I was excited to go to school every day after I met her. She was easy to talk to and always knew how to make the most of any situation. I put so much of my time and effort into her. So when she took her life, it was a hard time for me. I was shocked, hurt. I couldn't process what had happened even within the first 6 months. People talk about the stages of grief, but in this situation, there wasn't anything. I felt emptier than I ever have. The questioning of every interaction I ever had with her, the feeling of I could have done this or that different, it was eating me up from the inside. What did I do wrong? I started to fear contact with others because what if I make the same mistake again? I wouldn't wish that pain on my worst enemy. I didn't want to talk to anyone, and I ended up distancing myself from many people I previously considered good friends, and even my own family. I was still physically around other people at school or at Life Nights, but I wasn't fully present. I had isolated myself. In the church, isolation is feeling unknown by God and others, and being unknown to yourself. This was definitely the case for me. I felt as though I couldn't go to anyone because how could they understand me if I didn't understand myself? Isolation is a result of our fallen world. It is a lack of authentic relationships and community. It disconnects us from our world. We were created to know God ourselves and be in relationship with others. We can't know ourselves if we don't know God, and we can't have authentic relationships if we don't know ourselves. And God wants us to spend time with Him to discover ourselves and discover other people in a real and meaningful way. Eventually, I was pulled out of my isolation. I remember people at youth group telling me that they were there for me, and unlike the countless others that said it to me at school, I felt the sincerity in it. I joined ARC and started to reach out to other people. I gradually crawled out of this hole I had dug for myself. I've since gained some of the best friendships I've ever had, and I'm so grateful for this wonderful group of people. I left Gibbons and learned what I want to do with my life, and I'm on my way there. I went from isolation to realizing the importance of community with others, but also the importance of being alone with God in solitude. Solitude is the state of trusting that we are known by God and seeking to know ourselves and God. God created us to be close to Him. That's why He had the Garden of Eden and everything was so perfect. So when Adam was alone, he was growing through contemplating himself, and he grew closer in his relationship with God. However, Adam was not totally alone in the garden. Eve was created because we are not to be isolated, but in community. Though we need to have one-on-one time with God, we do still need that community. But we know how the story goes. There's the tree and it had the bad fruit, and there's the thing and the bad stomachache and the snake devil and the original sin. And because of that, God's creation was broken. We were no longer in a state of constant bliss with him. Sin had entered our world. Our look at what it means to be alone changed after the fall, and our way to be in communion with others and with God was distorted. So how can we grow closer to him now? Well, Jesus, the ultimate model for holiness, would often go by himself to the wilderness or to mountaintops to be in solitude with God in prayer. In one of the darkest moments of Jesus' life, he went to pray. So I have a little reading here from Mark. Then they came to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, "Sit here while I pray." He took with him Peter, James, and John, and began to be troubled and distressed. Then he said to them, "My soul is sorrowful even to death. Remain here and keep watch." He advanced a little and fell to the ground and prayed that if it were possible, the hour might pass him by. He said, "Abba, Father, all things are possible to you. Take this cup away from me, but not what I want, but what you will." Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys recognize that. That was right before Jesus was betrayed and arrested and ultimately killed. He didn't want these unspeakable things to happen. He wanted God to let him live, yet he allowed his Father to make the choice. And even then, Jesus knew the importance of community, so he brought with him his apostles. In prayer, we can spend some much needed time with our pops and sisters. Jesus established the church so we can have a place to go to deepen that relationship with him and grow in fellowship with our brothers and sisters. We are given sacraments to take part in and prayers to offer up to him. This youth group has probably been the most beneficial part of my relationship with Christ. Different people see God in the world in different ways, and I see God in other people. Spending time at Life Nights or at other Life Team events has helped me grow so much closer to God and in turn closer to others in this group. God doesn't want us isolated from him. God wants us in solitude with him, knowing him, ourselves, and our community. It has been a little over a year since Madeline left us, and I finally feel as though I'm completely where I'm supposed to be. I found a community I belong to, and it's right here at Life Team. And if you feel as though you're isolated, whether at school or in any part of your life, find community with people that truly make you better and help you grow in a relationship with Christ. Reach out, and you just might be happily surprised.